Welcome everyone to Whenever We Feel Like It. I am really excited to be here tonight to convene two poets, Chris Martin and Adam Wolfond. Chris is going to read from his nonfiction book about working with poets like Adam, working together. We have copies of this book in the back. We also have copies of Adam's book from Milkweed Editions. So Chris is going to read from the book, and then we're going to have some volunteers rally to read some of Adam's work, and I will call those readers out. Thank you to everyone for coming. We'll have a reception after. I'm really looking forward to the conversations, community, and the kind of communing we're already doing here. So.
Adam had something to say. Do you want to put your period in so it can...
Languaging. Yes, I want to say thank you for coming to dance with me, and it is an honor to be here at Making Rallying Writer's House that varies the pace of languaging.
Missed a letter, but I want to say thank you for coming to dance with me, and it is an honor to be here at Making Rallying Writer's House that varies the pace of languaging.
Here we go.
I will second that. And I'm so grateful to Michelle and to everyone here who made this happen. It's definitely been a dream of mine to read at the Kelly Writers House, and it's an even better dream to be able to do it alongside Adam. So I'm going to read two sections from this book, and the first will give you kind of like a grounding in some of the work that I've been doing. And then the second part will focus on Adam's writing specifically. Right. We all seek patterns, but neurodivergent individuals tend to seek them out with a combination of knack and urgency that is startling, if not coincidental. In 2010, Camilla and Henry Markram posited the intense world theory, which explores the way autistic neurology is characterized by ways of processing the world that are both uniquely dynamic and uniquely complex. They posited that autistic minds aren't under-resourced, as was often considered to be the case, but over-connected. They noted that the fabric of autistic brain circuitry is much more dense and ornate than in the general population. This is one of the keys to understanding why many young children seem to regress into autism around age 2 or 3, just at the time when most young brains are beginning to prune neurons away for a more streamlined set of connections. This abundance of connectivity often leads to synesthetic experiences of the world, hearing colors or tasting sounds. But it can also create a sort of cognitive and perceptual feedback, the bandwidth too wide to be processed amid the chaos of neurotypical life. If, as intense world theory argues, we think of the autistic brain as being like a supercomputer, we can begin to understand how crucial context and environment are to the success of that processing potential. Denizens of the intense world desire a means to tune out sensory feedback and tune in the deep focus of perception, turning intensity from foe to friend. Though it's clear that this vocabulary of processing can be useful, I also want to push back a little on the neuroreductive objectification the supercomputer metaphor can engender, for it threatens once again to obscure the essential humanness of autistic experience. My students and I relate as friends, trusting that we're each there to listen and learn, to extend kindnesses and generosities that befit our ever-evolving fellowship. So while neurological frameworks may be helpful in conceptualizing autistic cognition, teaching is something entirely different. It's two people sitting with each other, looking to connect, watching for meaning in movement, listening for moments in language that resonate and exhilarate. One of my students, Sid Ghosh, a non-speaking autist with Down syndrome, offers us a more natural metaphor for autistic intensity. And this is Sid's poem, Volcanic Mind. Humming friends torque-screw language into my mining mind. Mind secretes modes of intense lava. Lava makes own path. Fire forges mind. To think mind is hot is to hammer bones with air. For Sid, forging mind is an intense and ongoing process, one that can be helped along by humming friends who torque-screw language. Tuning in allows Sid to secrete the raw material of thought, which then seeks its own paths. When I asked Sid whether the humming friends were birds or people, he replied, both. Sid hears birds, and they prompt the forge of his mind. He hears humming words, hammering on his ear bones with air, as friends ask a question or read his last line aloud. After the forge is stoked and the lava of language begins to flow, this treasure may still desire a mold to pour itself into, a form that can hold its immense value and shape. This is where poetry comes in. I believe the sensuous patterns and dynamic formal possibilities of poetry are uniquely designed to help autists, and us all, translate aspects of their intense multidimensional thought into linguistic expression. Poems carry the dynamism embodied in movement, mining, forging, hammering. Poems and patterns help organize the innate movement of the body into thought, initiating a complex dance that one of my students, Aman Bukela, one of Adam's good friends, who you introduced me to, calls motioning truth. And again, I think it's important to note that this process of motioning truth isn't unique to autists. Through routine, habit, predilection, we all summon the patterns that might help us grasp our own truths and meet the challenge of any moment. But those challenges, especially for many of my autistic students, feature a bracing combination of sensory intensity and motor perplexity that can set the world swirling. No wonder, then, that they move so often toward the anchor pattern provides. All right. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yes. I am happy that all the writers will pace to Lord. Neurodiversity and buttress the dance of feeling. Yes, I am happy that all the writers will pace toward neurodiversity and buttress the dance of feeling.
Me too. Yeah, I will. Adam, you've said that it makes you a little shy, but I really appreciate that you let me read about your writing as well. Adam Wolfond makes it his vocation to discover unnoticed springs. He is a young man with many areas of devoted study. Was younger when I wrote this too. But prime among them are water and sticks. His first chapbook of poems, In Way of Music, Water Answers Towards Questions Other Than What is Autism, not only features my favorite book title of all time, but also serves as the initial inspiration for this chapter, which is called The How of Autism, as opposed to the what. Water, which burbles and laughs, is expressive in ways that are more evocative than denotative. Like music, it bends and moves, utilizing a pattern of difference and repetition to answer open questions rooted in feeling. His second chapbook, There Is Too Music in My Ears, chronicles Adam's process of collecting and peeling sticks, which he uses like proprioceptive tools to locate himself in space. It also features his manifesto, The Way of the Stick is the Open Man Who Laughs at Money. Again, the way is what is operative, a moving path that discovers meaning rather than pinning it down. He writes, good sticks are like water when they move and they focus the need to move. During one of our sessions, it suddenly occurred to me to ask whether Adam was aware of the dowsing rod, a tool I was forever seeking and haplessly trying to use in my youth. He said he was not, but when I explained it to him, he immediately understood. He wrote, I think I am magical because I am wanting to carry a stick that is always thinking real thoughts, like the want to feel the space that surrounds me dowsing for water. We talked about the way a dowsing rod doesn't itself contain the magic, which is what I mistakenly thought as a child, but that a gifted person attunes through the rod to find the water. He wrote, I am like awesome pattern of wand that assembles the water. Adam is indeed like awesome pattern of wand. Like other alternatively communicating non-speakers, Adam has had to become a genius at harnessing his own body toward expression. What the unfamiliar see as magic, this young man, full of tics who cannot speak, conveying thoughts of staggering depth, is actually the product of a lifelong and life-sustaining labor. Adam is the masterful ticker who has found, through immense struggle and support, how to wield his body like a fine instrument, dowsing for the water of expressibility. Adam constellates all these moving elements, dancing for the answering in way of water, the way of the stick, to pace his idiolectic assembly of talking. He has had to reinvent and reorient the language of talkers so that it can authentically language his world into legibility. Since moving and thinking are inseparable for him, he must verb the noun of language until it joins him in the dance of Adam. And I should take a moment to emphasize that this labor toward expressibility is not one Adam undertakes alone. He strives alongside, in relation with, the other members of the group of neurodiverse artists and educators called Disassembly, who are always, likewise, looking to discover new possibilities for artistic practice where thought and movement meet. He also counts natural and domestic objects among his collaborators, articulating how they call out to him, and how their various calls help to initiate his desires. He writes, motor planning is ball of talker's explanation, but I think that language of relation rallies people to think about objects as important in initiating movement, and people think that pace is in the body by answering to amazing environment, but movement is always in relation to the world, so motor language is not right, but relation is fostering the collaborating. The environment that surrounds Adam is a matrix of intersecting calls. His mother, Bde, who's here to support today, a rubber bath toy, my voice coming from the iPad, a heavy stick gathered from outside, each of them making a particular summons, a beckoning, an invitation to extend the choreography. As he wrote in Isolation Song of Love, a poem, Adam's calmness to help and pace others. In order to Adam others into a shared experience, Adam must first initiate them into his world. When Adam Adams a gathering of participants, like us, by his ability to be mindfully present, by the pace at which he languages on a keyboard, by the thoughtfulness of his layered insights, he slows the room down, facilitating a studied and experiential calm. This is why his poems share so much with world building, a concept that has been best articulated by science fiction writers and readers. Adam is not an alien, but he exists in such vast contrast to neuronormative ways of moving through the world that he is often viewed in exactly that manner. In some ways, Adam is a homegrown alien, in that his experience of the world articulates a horizon of humanness that may more comfortably exist in a future yet to come, a neurodiverse future where our preconception of human being has grown to accommodate more loving, creative, and sustainable ways of living in relation to the more than human world. In effect, Adam leverages the poetic form to pry open an imaginative space between now and then, between what is and what could be. He realizes we must work to become him if we are to save ourselves, and he has decided that we are worth saving. Take this poem, for example, which pries open a space between what's human and what's animal, a third possibility where the two terms merge and flourish. This is Adam's poem, Owls Easy on the Way of Language. 1. You are amazing, old owl that thinks easily and flies in the boisterous night, languaging the way repine in the apprehending night. Repine utility is always easy night watch. In the ways of watching is the ways thinking. Using the language to steal something that believes to be the way people feel about autism is the way of easy stealing of our own thoughts, and the way open flight is with the apprehending feeling. The way opens masterful paths of flooding. The paths of the assembly open and saturate the ways of 3. 2. Threes are ways of riddling the afterthought of the movement. In the threes is the way of thinking like the waters that walk through the stones of pathways. The ways of threes are ways of partly laking, partly iridescent waters that ripen with the ways of pacing. The ways of threes are the ways of the lakes that the easy, rapacious thinking goes and rests. The threes that are pacing are the rapacious wanting to really go resting, but the openings won't. Language slow. 3. The owl is the way of flight in the night and paces the hungry pattern of threes to the way of easy language, and if open waters are making it hard, then the owls sweep in. Sometimes a poem is an idea, and sometimes a poem is an experience. I prefer the latter, which is one reason why autists and I feel so cognitively akin. As Julia Rodas writes, autistic writers are inclined to describe autism by application as a conglomeration of feelings, experiences, and practices. In this respect, then, autism is what it feels, does, experiences, and says. In keeping with Rodas's description of felt multiplicity, there's so much more than one epiphany or idea at the center of this dynamic, rapacious poem. It is not meant to be understood in any simple sense, but to be felt. It is meant to be held in relationship, a swooping dance where Adam takes the lead but does not overdetermine the choreography. As the poem emerged, I felt the flying and swooping of it. When I reflected this back to Adam, he decided that it should have a form that echoed its movements, emphasizing once more the experience of it. This is an example of what it looks like. You can see the swooping. Instead of spoon-feeding to neurotypical thinkers reductive answers about what autism is, allowing for his ideas to become appropriated and misrepresented, Adam would rather give them tools for apprehending feeling. Instead of taming and normalizing his way of languaging the world, he extends to the reader an authentic invitation to experience the wild conversant practice by which it opens masterful paths of flooding. Adam's poem, like his identity, exceeds singular meanings. He invites you to catch what you can, to join him in assembling an alternative world where, riddling the afterthought of the movement, we might forge meaning together. A braided tapestry of repine scraps that invoke rather than explain. To paraphrase Aaron Manning, one of Adam's recurrent collaborators, the how of knowing always exceeds the what of knowing. The what in Adam's poem is gloriously exceeded in all ways by the how, and in the process our minds find a new suppleness and pliancy that was previously impossible. Adam's masterful paths of flooding recall the words of Audre Lorde. To encourage excellence is to go beyond the encouraged mediocrity of our society. It is not a question only of what we do, it is a question of how acutely and fully we can feel in the doing. And when we feel together in the doing, when we manifest a consensual world in which we are both fully present, that excellence binds us in novel, radical, and transformative forms of belonging. This is one way to build a neurodiverse future, where belonging to ourselves, to each other, and to the more than human world is grounded in practices of engagement that value connection over transaction and creation over extraction. Let us feel in the doing together what exceeds mediocre binaries. Let us engage in what Adrienne Marie Brown calls a felt finding across difference. Let us embrace the ways of threes, which are ways of partly laking, partly iridescent waters that ripen with the ways of pacing. The what might be the lake, but the how is the laking. If the what is the fruit, the how is the ripening. Where a what fixes our position in space, the how shows us the pace at which every what is moving and changing. As we deepen from what to how, we engage that third space, the one where we create and share, where dancing and laking and swooping we can apprehend consensual futures. But again, apprehension is only part of the goal. From there, we must continue to move, continue to ripen in rapacious patterns that draw forth a more excellent and interdependent world of mutual flourishing. Thank you. Do you want to add something to that?
Yes. Need. The. Rallying. Going. To. Make. The. Ways. Of. Pacing. To. Lord. The.
Toward the.
Feeling. That. Is. Atmospheric. Languaging. And. Having. A. Thinking. Relation. That. Varies. The.
Excellent. That's great.
Important. Talking. About. Neurodiversity. And that means you bathe in it. Yes, meet the rally. I'm going to make the ways of pacing toward the feeling that is atmospheric languaging and having a thinking relation that varies the important talking about neurodiversity, and that means you bathe in it.
Do you want to read it? Do you want to read it, Chris?
Sure.
Read the sentence?
Yes, need the rallying going to make the ways of pacing toward the feeling that is atmospheric languaging and having a thinking relation that varies the important talking about neurodiversity, and that means you bathe in it.
I just want to say something. Do you know that you're not live streaming?
Yes, unfortunately, the Penn Wi-Fi is down. It's not the writer's house, but it's the entire Penn
Wow.
universe.
Because I'm getting all
universe,
these texts.
The T is down.
Wow.
Yes,
Too bad.
we are recording the event, and we will have it available hopefully tomorrow morning. My sense is that that might be possible, but that the live stream was not working at all. So we're not even apologizing to live streamers, but we're apologizing if you're watching it later. We wish that you could have live streamed. It's really amazing to be here, and we wish that you were here with us, rallying and bathing. And we're glad that you'll get to do it tomorrow.
They'll feel it in perpetuity.
Yes, this atmosphere will be forever.
Yeah.
I'm going to come up and introduce, we have 5 student writers and critical writing faculty and poets who are going to come up and rally to read Adam's work. So I'm going to invite each of them up to read. I'm going to just say their names now, and when they come up, they can read. So Madeline, Eve, Aurora, Nick, and Corinna are going to rally, and thank you so much. I also forgot to say that after the rallies, we will have time for Q&A with the writers. So, to the rally. To the bath.
Welcome.
The ways of yearning. Can you hear me? That's good. Okay. In my mind, I am always thinking about everything. How to filter it is the wanting question. It is wanting to follow the thread, to reach the way of thoughts. I think the thread snowballs at every chatter, collecting thoughts. And how does one unball all we have gathered? I must follow the thread to the end. I ask others to unravel with me. It's not about me, it's us. We unravel, unball. To reach the end, we must take our beings and yearn the moments together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mainly, I saturate, and I question the way the moon thinks. Dancing body of making art. Art goes toward missing words. Music is the way, insisting the way the dance moves. Waking to the wanting, amazing water is the way. Of the thinking feeling, always the rhythm and pulse of the music. Looking at the wanting moon is the question of life. Feeling the way is the earth. Only the answer is the amazing game, using the always same words. Nasty thoughts are rushing my brain. Dance with me. Of colors inside the lines, moving like open mind.
Can you show the audience real quick the page? You can see there is a wanting way, yarn, string, stream that flows through the entire book.
Yeah. The way of the stick is the open man who laughs at money. I am the warrior who wants peace in the world of me, calming the padded rich rooms landing money. I am inside the packing money to good, always needs of others, and I want to have peace in the world. The way of the stick feels like always making movement, and I am answering the want language wants me to move in the way of it. I am teaching all the time, and language is easy when water is like stick, amazing in waves. Good sticks are like water when they move, and they focus the need to move. The way of the stick is the way we talk, and language is the way of the music landing inside the movement of the stick that paces the amazing rally. In the laugh there is band of eagerness in the answering of men that make lots of money. Fan of money is fan of wars and name of evil. The way of the stick lands landings on the runway to peace.
Thank you.
The name for it should be Mursted Chill. The way of support is the way of learning to pace the relation, about to bring the man of autism to a better pace than the paces others want for me. The supple support feels the waters of the relation and the ways people can be hard about managing the time dance can leave me, feeling the letters of thinking jumbled, and the pace of the man of autism is the making of my talking finger, thinking out loud. Need my dance to be like the need of dearest love for me, so that being, thinking, and rallying can manage together like the supple senses that are dancing at the same time. The language of time is like names and dancing alone, but the actual easy time uses the senses that make it ending, easy experience of it. And I think that the names for time are really like lines in the amazing watch. The walking measures the good game of time like lines. Real time moves like languaging, walking, pace, and the name for it should be Mursted Chill, meeting the feeling. My word mursted in time is having the moment, feeling, trusting, making in itself. So wanting mursted time, I see bathing, seething, being, making, teeming, languaging the lines, making furrows like memory, the pace of life knows.
Thank you.
poem arriving to a wanting safe world. I want to write about questions of sickness. I want to ask if we will be okay. I really want answers to things like always partly the need for answers. Is the answer always trying to reach us, and is it easy? I like the trees that answer lots of wanting, always the withheld answers. I think that the answers are held in nature, and I think that in the questions always we feel lots of anxiety. The water and the language are like answers that love the way I am, always feeling easy when I bathe in rallying array of least language of talkers. Yes, the way I sway the awesome rally is pandering the same language, but I dance it differently. I think that I am answering in my movement. I am awkward, but I can dance a lot of thoughts at the same time. Really think that I can dance better than most in this time, landing to the place amazing that we are bodies appreciating each other and thinking about keeping everyone safe.
Thanks to our readers, our writer, the rally.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I wanted to invite the audience to ask questions. We have a wireless mic. And if you have questions about the work, the poetry, the life, the wanting,
The atmospheres.
the atmospheres, there are answers. Partial, trees, answers. We have things. Not me, but so. Great, thank you.
So I have a question for Adam. What gives rise to your poems? Do you work in a workshop with prompts? Do you have a writing practice that inspires your subjects? How do you arrive at your poems?
Yes.
Okay. You just missed the target. Yeah. Go back.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Arrive at writing in my walking times and think that thought
Yeah.
is the pace of simple walking buttressing my thinking in terms of pacing and the wanting different. Paths. Packing. In. At. The. Same. Time. To. The. Meanings. That. I. Very. To. Feel. The. Supple. Ness. Of. The. Waves. Of. The. Relation. And. The. Interesting. Intensities. That. The. Body. Answers. Yes, I arrive at writing in my walking times, and think that thought is the pace of simple walking, buttressing my thinking in terms of pacing, and the wanting way makes many different paths acting in at the same time to the meanings that are very to feel the suppleness of the waves of the relation, and the interesting intensities that the body answers.
Do you want to do that one? We'll switch off.
Oh, sure, I can do it. Okay. I arrive at writing in my walking times and think that thought is the pace of simple walking, buttressing my thinking in terms of pacing, and the wanting way makes many different paths, packing in at the same time to the meanings that I vary to feel the suppleness of the waves of the relation, and the interesting intensities that the body answers.
I'll pull a host and ask a question, as a host might do. Chris, I know you've been writing for a long time before starting to work with writers like Adam. I've been really taken by the way a lot of the writers that you're working alongside are changing some words for me. For example, the word want, this idea of wanting. We could look on Pen Sound for poems about wanting, and I'm not sure that they were wanting in these ways of languaging. And so I'm interested in some other words, maybe words Hannah uses or some themes and how they've sort of changed your work and your register of metaphors and symbols.
Totally. I mean, there's so many of them. I feel like I've been given this, like, outrageous, like, new vocabulary and so many words reinvented. Aman Bukela, who we mentioned earlier, wrote in a poem about tilted thinking. And I think I've always been struggling to come up with a term that I feel like represents how I move through the world. And immediately I was just like, that's it. I'm a tilted thinker. Like it felt like a landing I'd been waiting to make for 4 years. So tilted thinking to me is really important. Hannah writes extensively, especially these days, about treeing, and that's really important to me because I had also been writing and thinking about trees and about treeing and about the ways in which we can kind of move out to greet the world and find ways of holding the world without entrapping the world. The way a tree always makes a place to hold creatures and snow and plastic bags, but never intends to capture them. Yeah, so those are just a couple examples.
The gerund is very important. The movement, the process. So process philosophy is like an intuitive, for you, Adam, it's always been an intuitive path. So if you're looking, yeah.
Absolutely.
You could also ask questions of the audience.
I was just wondering if you guys wanted to rally, since there's so many writers here.
Yes.
Typically how we rally is, Adam will say a sentence and then, or something, and you might write or say something. I guess we have to verbalize it in this context, but do you feel like doing a jam?
Can someone handle this? Yeah, okay. So check with the chat.
Do you want to rally? Okay, he does, yeah, I thought so.
Yes. I think I will begin and say, make a poem, sing the pace of calling out for feeling in the room. Yes, I think I will begin and say, make a poem, sing the pace of calling out for a feeling in the room.
Oh, what about starting? Sing the pace of calling out for feeling in the room. We could start with that prompt. Does somebody want to write it down? And then you could have like a rallying poem after?
Do we all speak at once, or does like one person's?
Well, I wonder if we can let this travel around the room on the paper, and kind of it could make its way back to us.
Swizzit Court style.
Kind of, yeah. And I'll say that in your book, Adam, there are a number of things called algorithms, and those algorithms are really interesting prompts for taking walks and writing out of those walks. So they're kind of like guides towards how to walk and write. So those are also really exciting.
It was part of our experimental work of thinking about the neurodiverse city. So the algorithms started as those kinds of prompts. So you went right away to sing the pace of calling out for the feeling in the room. That's really interesting.
Just writing that. I added sing wanting. Right? Rally.
Putting you on the
And
spot.
and you can pass it on if you're not.
Yeah.
Would you share what you
Yeah.
I just wrote the word daunting.
Daunting. Love it.
Dante or daunting?
Daunting.
Now there's also a mic. I mean, it's an archival project.
It's true.
This house, I'm sorry. You have to also somehow hold the mic near you. You know, like the ASMR on TikTok? We're gonna get there.
And Adam, you can jump in again if you want. One was daunting. If you want to.
Yes. Languaging. The. Talking. Yes, languaging the talking.
That came after daunting.
And we wait as thought. Wait, I need to wait. There we go. And we wait as thoughts wander to come back to what is here.
Did you want to say something for that?
Yes. Go. To. The. Pace. Of. Waiting. Yes, go to the pace of waiting.
Can you really speak too soon among friends?
Can you say that again? Didn't hear it.
Can you really speak too soon among friends?
Yes. People. Dance. More. Than. Words. Yes, people dance more than words.
I wrote, emptiness needs music, needs dance.
Go for it. Let's rally.
Thinking is A. Dance. That. Can't. Be. Seen. Thinking is a dance that can't be seen.
I wrote, if only there was a way to put feelings into words.
Yes. Feeling. Has. More. Wanting. Yes, feeling has more wanting.
Yes, I always want to dance or be dancing, even more than I want to be a dancer to dance. Like how you can say you can love someone with no antecedent or no words. Trees do, they can, and they do say yes.
Yes. The. Trees. After. Glow. Is. Beaming. Feeling. Yes, the trees after glow is beaming feeling.
Hello? Okay. I put, to dance without music is to think without thoughts.
Yes. Pretty. My. Call. For. Art. Pacing. For. Music. Walking. Both. Two. real. Easy. Open. Yes, pretty my call for art, pacing for music, working both to feeling real easy open.
Pretty my call for art, pacing for music, walking both to feeling really easy open.
Underneath the crunchy bark, protected secrets only for those who know how to listen.
Go. 2. The. Ground. And. Crunch. People. With. 2. Many. Words. With. My. Feeling. Feet. Go to the ground and crunch people with too many words with my feeling feet.
Underfoot and over the heads of thinking.
Being. Body. Of.
Go back. What were you gonna write?
Pleasing. Making. Ways. Being body of pleasing, making ways.
Too much, not enough wind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
to be too much in the leaning into and learning of.
No.
Okay. Totally done.
Echoing outwards, fullness births wholeness.
Yes. Birthing. The. Us. Knowing. The. Ceaseless.
Yeah.
Flow. Yes, birthing the us, knowing the ceaseless flow.
Now remembering walking and thinking under big trees.
Yes, sitting still, thinking how to collective dance.
Have. A. Party. Have a party.
It's a really great end because we do have a kind of party for everyone, a reception as we call it here. In the
read it?
Oh yeah, we can read it all. I'm not sure that all of Adam's lines were written, so maybe I'll type it and post it to Jacket 2, which is our Poetry and Poetics magazine, but it's all on the same website server that will be back. Thank you, Chris and Adam and Esty. There are books for sale. There are poets to be with. Let's dance and party. Thanks everyone for coming. And Writers House has a dance and poetry event tomorrow, actually, so check that out. There's stuff here every day, all day. Don't miss it. You can just live here. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It was great. Thank you. Thanks for rallying with us.